Guys, so today I'm going to be bringing you another commentary, and this time I'm going to be playing Ezreal. Ezreal has seen like a re-emergence recently with the start of the blue build, so I think he's a really good choice to analyse because so many people are playing him at the moment. Now in this commentary I'm actually going to focus more on teamfight manipulation and how you can snowball as an AD carry and win the rest of the game. Now this is because in this actual commentary, like none of my other lanes win, it's just myself, and because I'm so strong it allows my team to catch up, and it also means that I already die in team fights, so I kind of had that added pressure there as well. Now I'm going to try and speed this up in parts that aren't really necessary for the game so that it reduces the time spent in this commentary. I do want to kind of get them a bit shorter. So this is going to give you here a little taster of my third cheese strat. And this is something you can only really use when you're purple side, because people tend to come down here when they're on blue side. So we're just going to sit and wait in the brush and wait for them to come down after giving a smiteless red. Leona's obviously really strong, level 1, and so is Ezreal. So you can see we're just going to nuke down Caitlyn. I'm actually going to speed it up and I'm going to flash. I'm going to get the basic attack and then I'm going to land the Q as well. Now here's an important part as well, because Vi's level 2, now she's got red buff so she should be stronger. But a perfect stun by Leona and then exhaust means that Vi's already really weak. And so she's now actually going to have to go back, which is really going to slow down her clear. And it's pretty good for us now. I mean, so we're not going to have any gank potential from her, and we can kind of have the lane to ourselves. So this is a really important part about now taking the advantage I have and snowballing it. When Caitlyn gets back to lane, she's still going to be level 1, where I'm level 2. And so I'm going to try and punish her as hard as I can. I'm just going to try and like land every Q I can, bully her out of lane. And the key to laning as Ezreal is just to land your Qs. So you can see, unfortunately we don't pick up anything there, and it's a little bit risky by both of them. But you can see that like I'm just trying to pressure her as much as possible. I'm positioning myself to throw off Qs whenever I can, even if they don't always hit. I'm trying to get as much damage as possible. Now because I'm so strong at the moment, I don't have any fear of them. I can poke them under turret and there's nothing they can really do in return. So the only dangerous thing in this lane for me to be thinking about, this is what like basically goes through my head in these lanes. So I'm thinking, what can like make me lose a trade? So in this case it's going to be stepping on a Kate trap or getting hit like that with an Elise cocoon. Now thankfully Caitlyn didn't actually follow that up, which meant that Elise kind of stuck around a little bit too much. Leona landed a good E. I picked up another kill. Now I'm just going to try and pressure Caitlyn and not let her get close to the wave to CS, because with Lifesteal Quints now that most ADs are running, it means that the more basic attacking they do, the better chance they have of getting back in the lane. So the other thing to note, as I was saying with kill potential, is if I run straight up to Caitlyn, she's very good at outranging me and she's just going to EQ me, and that's going to be a lot of damage onto me, which I can't really return, and that's kind of how to lose a trade. So the two things then are just, if I get a cocoon, I get a trap, okay, 3 things I guess, and if I just run up to Caitlyn and take an EQ to the face. So you can see I'm actually using my E aggressively at the moment. Now that's because we've got good ward coverage, and even if fire turns up they probably can't kill us either. And the other thing was that Elise wasn't there, so Caitlyn can't do anything to me, which means that I can just be as aggressive as I like. Caitlyn can't really return any damage to me. I'm looking to go back soon anyway, so if you think about it just logically, if I'm going to go back and heal, it doesn't matter if I do a bad trade, because if she wants to stay and get the experience, which she probably should do to catch up, that means that I go back and heal, whereas she stays on around half health from that trade anyway. So let me just speed this up again while I'm buying. Now I don't like getting an early tier. Some Ezreals actually do get an early tier, but I don't think that's very effective, and it makes you very weak in lane, so I don't bother actually doing that at all. What I do is I get double longsword, because they're the most gold efficient item for AD. If you think about it, 400 gold for 10 AD is actually really effective, and so if you just stack them, like you'll see in LCS, a lot of top laners will stack 3 blades, longswords, sorry. Now this is for 2 for like the brutalizer most likely, and another one for a vamp scepter, but they'll buy them the 3 at the same time because it's more cost efficient for them to get an early power spike in AD. Now I'm just going to go aggressive and use my E. You can see Elise already used her cocoon, so it wasn't in danger of hitting me there. And so as soon as she's used her CC, there's nothing they can really do anymore. Caitlyn's used her Q to farm the wave, which is perfect for me. She's running out of mana, and she can't trade with me anymore. So at this point I'm going to look for a kill, because Caitlyn's really low. but I'm going to be saving my E to dodge an Elise cocoon. So you see there that she cocooned me. I was ready for it because I anticipated it. I E'd over the cocoon, and then I dived straight in for Caitlyn. Now this is going to be a double kill for me, which is good. I popped my barrier, which I'm not entirely sure whether I needed to. I think I did need to there, but I didn't want to be I didn't want to give away my spree goal because I'm now 3-0, which means I'm worth quite a lot of money, and it's not really worth it. So that play pretty much just came from anticipation. I knew that Elise was going to cocoon me if I go aggressive onto Caitlyn, and so I just waited for that, E'd over the wall. Now obviously that's a really risky play because if I decided to just be there, I'd be pretty screwed. But winning solo queue is about taking calculated risks, and I know I have my flash, which means I can flash straight back to where I was before and I'll be perfectly fine. So I'm not really any major danger, but I obviously had the possibility of picking up kills, and I did manage to pick up the kills. So you can see this is how you don't trade. So right there what happened was I took harass from Elise, and then I took an EQ to the face from Caitlyn. Now this is how, like, as I was saying before, that just because you're ahead in lane doesn't mean that you can trade however you want to. You still have to be careful of what can hurt you and what can make you lose those trades, which is what I first kind of thought about as soon as I entered this lane. Now the other thing to kind of think about, especially with Ezreal, is cooldown. So if I don't have my E available, if I've just used it to escape, it's not a good idea to then go and trade, because if something goes wrong, if Elise fires a cocoon at my face, then I can't E out of that, I can't get away, and so it's more dangerous for me. Now you see what I did there was E to the side. Now this is just kind of a standard trading technique with Ezreal. You want to reposition so that I can always be hitting my Qs. The reason I E to the side was because Elise was in my way there, so I wasn't able to Q Caitlyn, and you always want to attack the enemy AD rather than the support in most cases. Obviously when you're like kind of, I don't know, even, then or really far ahead, you can get the support, but in this case I kind of knew that we could both pick up both kills, and it's just a better idea to pick up the AD because, like, logically he can't then CS, whereas if I kill the support and leave the AD, he's still going to be able to CS, he's still going to be able to get experience, but if I kill the AD, it just puts him even further behind. Now this is getting to a little bit stompy. They're making mistakes and I'm just capitalizing on that. But the reason I want to show you this game is because if you have a look, GP is behind in CS. She's had 3 deaths already, but Katarina is getting stomped like really hard at the moment. So she's 0 for 2. Yorick's got a 20 CS lead on her. And even in the jungle, Vi's a 20 CS lead as well, which means that we're only 1.5k ahead, despite having a dragon and despite having a bottom tower. So I'm just going to abuse Ezreal basically with a blue buff. This is how aggressive you can be now because your E's on such a low cooldown, and you can just kind of like snowball the game. And this comes from your champion pool basically. Like, I played a lot of Ezreal games. I know my exact limits. I know how much I can get away with when I E in and how much I don't. Now it's kind of like important, if you ever watch the LCS, which I recommend you do if you're trying to climb elo because it's so effective, you have a look at the players that play Ezreal, especially because it's very noticeable. You'll see someone like, there was a very notorious in week 1 I believe, when Wild Turtle was playing Ezreal and he E'd into the entire team to pick up some extra harass. Now that is basically obviously a bad play, and that comes from not playing Ezreal very much. Like, not as much as a pure Ezreal player. Someone like I'm a Cutie Pie who plays Ezreal all the time would not have done that because he knows Ezreal's limits perfectly, whereas someone like Wild Turtle, who isn't famous for his Ezreal play, overestimates his damage and dives in and then pays for it. Another example of that was Creaton in the last alternate games. He kind of made a few mistakes against Gambit as well and dived in when he shouldn't have. So if you're ever looking for, like, when you're playing LCS, you should always be looking at players and seeing what they're doing and why they're doing it, seeing their use of cooldowns. If their use of cooldowns means they die, then it's always a good idea to kind of pick on that and don't use those cooldowns in that situation again, if that makes sense. Now, what we're doing at the moment is just trying to snowball the rest of the game. Caitlyn isn't actually worth that much money anymore, but we're just trying to punish her and kind of put her in that mood where she can't really afford to farm anymore. There's nothing she can do, and so she's just going to die a lot. Now, we can see on the minimap that people are actually coming to kill us now. And so I'm using Nautilus as a shield. If you look here, I use him as a shield for the cocoon because I don't want to die. I'm just going to flash away and I'm going to barrier the ignite damage, and I'm just going to escape. So that's very lucky of us because I'm actually worth 500 gold at the moment. Caitlyn's worth like 150, maybe even less, and so it really wasn't worth that if I had died, but thankfully I didn't because my team came to save me. But just like, if you imagine if I hadn't used Nautilus as a shield there and I had got Elise cocooned, I would have died there. So just the little things can really change the game there, because if you imagine if Aatrox had got that 500 gold shut down plus the assist money to everyone as well, that would have been like a huge boost to their gold standard. They probably would have been almost even in gold. When it doesn't sound like a big mistake at the start, it can really turn into something major as well. Now this is kind of a mistake I make here as well, because Caitlyn's got red buff and I really want that red buff because it synergizes so well with the Lizard Elder on Ezreal. So I'm going to stick around and I'm going to try and kill them. But this is the mistake we make. So we go way too deep with no vision and nothing basically. We don't see Vi, but we probably should have expected her to be there because we're so pushed up, and we ended up getting double killed. So that's really bad for us. It's going to give my shutdown gold, and it's also going to give Leona's gold as well. She was 115, which means she was worth more than the 300 gold because of assist money as well. And this is the time where we kind of need to group. So if you have a look, this is the reason I wanted to show you, because their team is actually in the lead at the moment now. The Yorick's is really strong. So is the Vi and Aatrox. They've all done really well in their lanes. And now in team fights it's going to be very difficult for me because you've got a fed kind of assassin in Aatrox, a fed bruiser in Yorick, and also a fed diver in Vi. Now they're kind of the three nightmares for an AD carry. But my team fight positioning and basically their team fight skill is just not on par. So we end up managing to win the game. Now at this point, they're just trying to shove mid, and we're just making sure they don't get anything for free. It's never a good idea to allow people to get towers on you just for no reason. So if they're going to stack mid, we need to stack mid as well and stop them. So even though we're actually behind in gold, we can force fights. You can see Caitlyn is bottom, so we're going a bit more aggressive. The only problem is that Katarina isn't actually with us at the moment. Now you can see that preemptive E there was just because Vi was in range of our ultimate. I didn't want her basically ultimating me and then Aatrox jumping on me. If we have a quick, I'm just going to slow this down very quickly. I talk about the team. So the thing that I'm now thinking of that can kill me, so like in lane phase, I thought of how can I lose the trade. It's going to be how can I lose a team fight. And that answer is if Aatrox gets his jump onto me, he's going to be able to stick to me. He's going to be able to do tons of damage. He's got his Blazer and King, which will slow me down as well. And at this point, I don't have my Gauntlet, which means my kite potential is very low. I'm not actually at full build yet, or I'm not even at my full really damage build, so there's not a lot I can do. So you can see Vi is going to instantly jump on me. I'm going to land my ultimate and then just going to E away because she's obviously got the clone on her and I don't want to take additional damage from her. I'm going to keep landing my Qs wherever I can and attack move. Even though Aatrox is really, really low at this point, I can't go in for him because the rest of the team is around. And so you see we actually lost that team fight. 2 people escaped very, very close. But even though it's just a 1-for-1, we're going to end up losing towers now because our team was so low. Now, the reason we lost was practically just because Yorick and Aatrox are so strong at the moment. I was attack moving away, but there was nothing I could really do because I haven't really reached my potential, as I was saying, on Ezreal. Now, I'll go back to what can kill me. So you can see that fight, Vi ultimate on me. If that was synergized with anything other than her, that would probably be me dead. Because Aatrox has got a really good dive potential as well. With the Yorick ultimate and Aatrox passive, it's going to be impossible for me to kill him before he kills me. He's going to revive. There'll be too much damage for me, and I'm not going to be able to escape him unless I can kite him. But as I said, I don't have my fist yet. Now, the other thing I have to be careful of is a cocoon from Elise. But that's the only really hard CC they have, so Vi Ultimate and Elise Cocoon are my 2 main enemies on Ezreal. Anything that reduces his mobility and kite potential is dangerous for me. Now, I've gone back and got my fist, which means that I'm actually at quite a big power spike at the moment. I'm going to talk about my build very quickly because you can see I didn't get a mana immune at the moment, and there's a specific reason why I don't get this. So mana immune is always good to get straight after Lizard Elder because it increases your auto attack damage, and it's definitely worthwhile to stack your tier earlier as well, because when your mirror mana, when it's transformed into the mirror mana, you're going to do a ton of damage, and it really improves your single target damage. Now, I'm just going to go and we're going to try and kill Caitlyn here because she got a kill in the last team fight, which means she's worth gold again. But she flashes the Leona ultimate, and so we're just going to back off. Now, Caitlyn actually goes a little bit deep here, but I'm just going to carry on with my build choice. So, the reason I got Frozen Fist was, as I said before, Ezreal's kind of doesn't really hit blue build status until you get to around 7,000 gold. Now, that's because you need your Fist, Lizard Elder, and your Mana Immune to really do damage to everyone. So at this point we're just going to run away and we're going to wait for GP to come from base. We can't really fight 4v5, and we can see Yorick coming from the left, so we definitely don't want to fight this at the moment. The problem is that we kind of stay around too close, and Vi gets a really good ultimate onto Katarina. Now at this point I'm just going to pause it because I want to analyse this very quickly. So I get a lot of questions saying, when should I run away, when should I attack move, and when should I just stand there and attack? Now the simple answer is you have to wait for the cooldowns that are going to kill you before you start attacking. So you can maybe attack, like throw off my Q, my spell, because I'm not in range of anything. But at the moment, if I was, say, auto-attacking Yorick, and I was basically just above Katarina up here, then Aatrox would just jump onto me, and that'll be a ton of damage. You look, he's got a lot of damage potential at the moment, and typically if someone else initiates on your AD carry, then everyone else is going to follow as well. So I'm just standing at the back right now. I'm waiting for the Aatrox to jump onto someone, and as soon as she's jumped onto someone, I'm going to go in. I know Vi's already used her ultimate onto Katarina, so that's no danger for me, and pretty much once Aatrox jumps, there's no more potential for anyone to kill me, and so I'm going to go in and fight. So let's have a quick look at how this turns out. So you can see Aatrox jumps into Katarina. At this point I stand still, I ultimate, and now I'm going to start doing damage. I'm going to wait for Aatrox to come back up, and I'm just going to take it slow. Thankfully GP gets a crit, and that kind of sways the whole thing. Now this is where I'm using my E aggressively. Yorick doesn't have enough damage to kill me because Nautilus is there and so is GP. So there's absolutely no reason, like no way he can kill me. I managed to get the Aatrox kill in combination with my red buff and Lizard Elder, I believe there, or maybe it was just the Lizard Elder. But you can see there that team fight has swayed the game. We're now back to even on gold, and I got 2 kills in that fight. One of them was a shutdown onto a 5-on-1 Yorick, and the other one was a killing spree for a 4-on-1 Aatrox. Now that has kind of hugely helped me. If we have a look at the gold very quickly, I've now got 1500 gold. I can go back and get my mana immune, and I can also buy some more as well. The kind of 4th item you want to get in this build is going to be a Last Whisper. Now that's because in combination with your Q damage, Last Whisper is an absolutely incredible amount of damage boost, because your poke is just, after that, pretty much unstoppable. You can just poke as much as you like, and then it's ridiculous. Now, one thing I want to just like a quick tip for Ezreal when you're playing blue build is always send out your Q when you're running around. So you can see I QW'd there for my tier stacks, and basically you want your mirror mana as soon as possible because it's such a huge damage boost for you. So you should always be throwing out your Q. You won't use enough that much mana. Even in lane you can throw it out whenever you like. And just try and stack it as quick as possible, because the quicker you stack it, the quicker you reach your potential on Ezreal. Now, in teamfights at the moment, like how you play blue Ezreal is just staying at the back, kiting people, using your auto attacks, but remember the main source of your damage is your Qs. Now that I've got mirror mana, it's actually like my auto attacks do a lot of damage as well. But I always need to be in a position where I can hit my Qs. If there's a minion in the way, or if there's a Yorick Ghoul in the way, I need to E to the side, and I need to make sure that I can keep hitting those Qs to make sure I do most of my damage. Someone like Vayne needs to do damage with their auto attacks, but obviously you can't, that's not kind of the same with Ezreal. He's mainly about his Q spam. Now, this was just a mistake on the enemy's part. They didn't realise how low their tower was, and we just literally walked up to them and just took the tower and then forced a fight. Now, blue Ezreal is really good at poking people. So if they come for this Baron, I'm just going to peel off and I'm going to start poking people. So Baron is kind of the noob magnet of low elo, I guess. Especially on my Smurf, people want to force Barons all the time. We end up just losing games, which is so silly. Now, the reason it's like so dangerous is because this is a 4v5, right? But if we stay on Baron, that turns into a 5v5 again because of Baron. Now, I'm going to pause very quickly because I made a big mistake here, but thankfully because we were because I was far ahead and the rest of the team, Aatrox was already low. Like you can see him at the bottom right of your screen now, his health bar. He's had to retreat out of the fight. But I actually E to the right instead of the left. Now I was standing by this bush on the other side of Vi, and what I should have done was E'd upwards. But for some reason I E'd to the right, which was a really big mistake by me. And it's put me in range of Yorick, and it's also made Vi just instantly glue onto me. So I'm going to press play again. You'll see that I actually get really low, and if I wasn't as strong as I was, and if I didn't have Nautilus helping me, then I would have been dead in this fight. You can see I'm just going to E forward because Yorick's got no more kill potential on me. I know that he's burnt his cooldowns, and so he's no danger from me. Now, that kind of knowledge is more mid lane trading. So when you're playing mid lane, you always have to be aware of what your enemy's cooldowns are like and what your cooldowns are, because for example, if say Kha'Zix uses his leap to farm minions or something, and you see that, you know he can't get away, you know he can't gap close on you, so that's a really good time to then go and trade. A more obvious reason, like in bot lane, was when Caitlyn was using her Q to farm the wave. Because she was using her Q to farm the wave, that means she can't use it on me. So that means like her damage potential is hugely reduced, and I can kind of trade without fear of that hitting me and doing a load of damage. Now in that fight there with Yorick, I knew that he'd already used his heal and he'd already used his Q, which meant the only thing he had left was W, which is the thing you normally max last on Yorick, and so it's not going to do a lot of damage and would just allow me to kill him if I E back in. There's no danger to me, and so using E aggressively when you know for like a legitimate reason is a good thing. Now this Baron dance is pretty dangerous because blue build Ezreal isn't typically as strong in pure team fights as everything else, but you can see here I'm just trying to land my Q. Look, I land the slow onto Yorick, I'm going to E forward and land the slow again. See, I'm still using Nautilus as a shield. I know Elise is on my left hand side, and so even when I E'd forward, I then walked backwards very slightly so that Nautilus was in front of me. The Cocoon was never going to hit me, but this is just kind of habit to get in there and make sure that I'm always behind. So you see here they're trying to back and I'm just forcing them. My E is on a spammable cooldown, which is ridiculous, and they just make the mistake of staying there and getting poked. That was a really bad play by them. I'm not sure whether they were fighting at that point or what, or whether they just wanted to hold it. But you can see I'm just attacking the closest target, which is going to be the clone. Going to land my Q onto Aatrox, and I'm going to E in, and I'm going to kill Yorick. Now, the reason I E into turret is because I'm full health. I know that I have the damage for it, and I hit my Q, which means the slow hits. Thankfully, like even if it hadn't killed him, I would have been able to catch up to him and also attack him. But this is kind of the point where the game's pretty much just snowballed out of control. But it's snowballed out of control. If you remember that team fight at the bottom right where they dived onto us, was a reasonably bad team fight by them, but the reason we won it was because they couldn't get to me at all. I'm the only fed person on my team. Obviously GP has got a lot of damage now, but in that team fight it was pretty much just me that was fed. But because of my positioning, I allowed my team to soak up a lot of the damage and the cooldowns, and then I went in. So a lot of people I see when I spectate their games, or they send me replays to analyze in lessons, the main problem they have is they get fed, they play well in lane, but then they're too focused on, I have to carry, I have to be in there, I have to be doing damage 100% of the time, otherwise we're going to lose. And that's not true. So obviously the other end, which you don't want to do either, is just running like too scared, never attacking. But if you're always trying to auto attack, that is your job, to always auto attack, but only when it's safe. You can't go in when everyone has their cooldowns up to kill you, because you're just going to die and you end up losing the team fight for your team. Remember that AD carry is about baiting your team. You literally just sit at the back, you wait for cooldowns to be used, you wait till it's safe to do something, and then you go in. Now this is another example of just taking Ezreal to his limits. I know that he's got no damage potential on me, and so I'm just gonna try and get another kill. Now you can see I missed my Q, and at that point I should have backed off, but I'm greedy, so I'm gonna use my Q, and Caitlyn actually flashes my ultimate, which is a shame. In the game I didn't realise what it was. I thought it was a bug, and I was like all mad, but I can see that she flashed that. So unfortunately didn't pick up the kill, but it means we're going to be able to pick up these turrets now. So this game is pretty much just closing out now. It turns into a bit of a snowball at the end of this game, but you can see how you can just control team fights by playing them correctly. You actually stand a much bigger chance of winning the game. Like, no one on my team really probably deserved to win this game. Nautilus has, like, if you look at him, he's 139, which he doesn't really have enough assists in this game to really have an impact. He didn't really gank a lot, but you can see that just a lot of people, if you're mechanically good, can win lane with AD carry. But it's about transitioning that into a win through good team fighting, and that's just what I wanted to show you today. So that wraps up another commentary from me then, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. Now, I do have a cold at the moment, so I've realised that I've said and like a lot more than I usually do, and it didn't flow as well, but bear with me, and next time it will be a lot better. So please do like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it. Remember to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitch, and have a great day.